Hi, everyone. This is Greg Brooks with Rocket Station.
You're listening to the Jess Get Hired Podcast.
Hi, Jess Get Hired Podcast fans. This is Rebecca Lee Doran.
Hi, I'm George Murray, author of the book Hired, Cut Your Career Search Time in Half.
You're listening to the Jess Get Hired Podcast. Make sure that you like the podcast and share it with all your friends. I can't wait to hear what you think.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to the Jess Get Hired Podcast. I want to welcome you into another amazing episode of the Jess Get Hired Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Fiesta George. This podcast is your gateway to a thriving career and a strategic resource for businesses who want to navigate the ever-evolving world of hiring. Well, if you're a seasoned professional charting your career path or a business looking to understand the latest hiring trends, this podcast is tailor-made just for you. Well, I have nearly 2 decades of experience in the talent industry, and I help guide you through these dynamic landscapes of careers. And you can join me on this exciting adventure because we explore insider tips. I give you a lot of strategies to ace your job search or get that promotion, and I give you insights to fuel your personal and professional growth. That's not all. This podcast goes beyond individual success because if you're a business aiming to hire better and smarter, and you want to stay ahead of the competition, consider this podcast your strategic ally. We discover how to find, retain, and nurture top-tier talent because we want your organization to thrive in this competitive landscape. We'll get ready to be enlightened by industry disruptors, a lot of visionaries and innovators who not only inspire us, but equip us with the knowledge to make informed decisions. And speaking of a visionary, someone who's been on the show before. His name is A Dunlap. He is no stranger. He was here over the summer. And if you missed our summer series, those were 15-minute episodes that I previewed on Spotify and on YouTube. But he gave us his hot take, which was no security in job security. Well, if you missed that, make sure you find it on wherever you're listening to this show. He's a 4-time book author. He's the founder of the Optimal Performance Academy. He's a business coach, a former stunt person. He's done it all. We are going to talk about the domino effect in problem solving. But before we do that, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, get on my mailing list, go to jessgethired.com and follow me on all of my social media channels. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's welcome Kevin to the show. All right, Jess Get Hired Podcast. I am excited because, again, I get to have A Dunlap on my show. He was on previously giving us his hot take. So how have you been doing?
I actually been doing quite well, discovering new technologies and using those and trying to incorporate those into my business.
Awesome. I am so glad we're able to reconnect. So our previous episode we had was called No Security in Job Security. So for people who did not watch that episode or listen to that episode, maybe you can briefly recap the main takeaways from that discussion and then explain how it's going to connect our discussion today.
Well, the no security in job security, I learned that a long time ago, back in 1999 when I had my last full-time corporate America job. And I ended up taking my 2 weeks vacation. This was June. And when I came back, actually I took 3 weeks. And I didn't tell you this in the last time, but what I did was I went to stunt school up in Seattle, Washington. So I was there for 3 weeks. And then when I came back, my boss still could not find me a job. And he says, well, we're going to have to let you go. And that second week of vacation that you took in June, you didn't earn it yet. So we're going to take that out of your final paycheck. And that third week that you took off, we're taking that also out of your final paycheck. Oh. And therefore you have no final paycheck. And that's when I realized, and I've sort of quite a few people have been fired, downsized or whatever. They've realized that, that job that they were going to every day, and they think they've got this security, they're probably barely paying their bills or they're barely getting by. And then they come find out that job is gone. And that's what I meant by there's no security in job security.
Okay. I forgot that you were a stunt person. Like, that is so cool. And maybe that's another topic for another podcast episode, because I think just learning from that and your experiences and just hearing all the stories behind the scenes, I think that would be a fun episode. But I digress.
I'd love
to. But okay, so we talked about no security and job security. You're absolutely correct. People don't realize that the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into a job, you can be easily replaced. So I always say, take your vacation, use it or lose it. And in your case, they pretty much took everything away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so in your 20 years, you've have, a lot of experience. You now have your own company. You've written several books. You've encountered different challenges, I would imagine, and have seen a lot of things that you've had to solve as far as problems are concerned. So can you share an example from your journey that shows maybe where you had a significant problem that resulted in an unforeseen challenge?
There's been several. I mean, you're not going to run a business without having problems come up. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. But you're probably talking about a larger, more significant type problems is what I'm assuming.
Right.
Back in the early 2000s, when I moved to Las Vegas in 2004, the housing market was a huge thing going on. Prices were going up 25, 30, 35% a year. And at that time, I started a real estate business consultation business where I would work with, I was not a real estate agent at that time. I would work with investors and help them find a lease option tenant buyer for their homes. And what we would do was, the first incarnation of it was, we find a tenant buyer that could not buy for whatever reason. I mean, back then we had what was known as liar loans. Anybody could get a loan. I mean, a dead person could get a loan, but some people just could not get a loan for whatever that reason was. And I had a network of investors that wanted to buy in Las Vegas at that time. And I would get with that tenant client, work with a realtor, we'll get a house under contract. Then they would sign a 1 or 2 years lease with a 25%, 30% appreciation in the price. That's where the investor was making their money. And then that tenant buyer, would move the house, work on their credit, and buy their house in 1 or 2 years at those graduated or step function, like here's a 1 year price, here's a 2 year price. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, when the housing market goes down, you can't buy a house expecting 30% appreciation. So basically that would have meant, hey, I'm out of business. My business model just does not work anymore. So at that time it was, you can't, where are you going to find clients anymore? Nobody's buying. Housing prices are sinking. Mm-hmm. And basically what I had to do was I had to completely revamp the model that I was using. I had to readjust for that time. And this is going to be true with anybody running any kind of a businesses. There are going to be huge challenges that come up, and you may have to, instead of going out of business, you have to say, what can I do differently in order to still do this? But the thing is, that was my biggest problem was when the market changed, I had to change myself. I had to adapt. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be true with any big stories that you may read in some autobiographies of previous business owners or current business owners. Is there are going to be those things that come up that's going to knock you off the horse. Thing is, you got to get back up on it again. You may have to maybe get on a different horse or go a different direction, but you still got to get back up.
Well, we might have to talk outside of the podcast because I'm in real estate as well. That's another side hustle of mine. And I'm actually looking at property in Vegas one day. Okay. So I want to go back. You have written so many books. Like, how many books do you have currently?
I usually talk about 3 books because I kind of ignore the first book that I wrote because it has nothing to do with business development, a person, mindset or anything like that. But I've written actually 4 books.
Okay. All right. So I want to talk about designing your own destiny. So where is that book in the series? Is it like the second one?
It is my second book.
Oh, this is one of the foundations for your academy, and we'll probably get into what you offer at your academy. But you emphasize the importance of setting a roadmap for someone in their life. So how does that process of self-discovery and goal setting relate to the idea of solving one problem that also can create another one?
Well, usually whenever you solve a problem, and I teach about this in one of my programs, usually when you solve a big problem, often another problem will be generated. Now, that may be a big problem, maybe a little problem, it may not even be a problem at all until later. You just don't know what it is. And an easy way for me to give this as a as a visual image. And this is the exact same thing I do in my course. Let's say you're a middle-aged man. Let's say you're 40 or 50 pounds overweight, and you go hire Jess, the fitness instructor, and she helps you go through a series of problems to be solved, like changing your diet, sore muscles, exercise routines, motivation. So she helps you solve all of those problems. And let's say she has a program that says 4 or maybe 6 months long, and after that 6 months, let's say, and this is my example. This is me in 2010. When I started doing a program called P90X, after 90 days, I went from 240 pounds down to 180 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So I
Congratulations.
lost 60 pounds in 90, or technically like 95 days, because I took a week off to go to my high school reunion, which is one of the reasons I was doing the program. But the thing is, you would say, what problems are you going to have now? So what problems did losing all of that weight cause you? You go, well, I went from a size 2X to a double XL to a medium. So my next one was buying a whole new wardrobe. Like, now I got to get the money to go buy a new wardrobe. If I don't have the money, maybe I want to got 1 or 2 outfits that I can wear, because everything else is going to be baggy on me. So that was the next problem that was created. So oftentimes, if you're a coach or you're a trainer, if you're looking to help people solve problems, then other problems will be developed. If you're a person that's an employee, whenever you solve one problem, again, another one's going to be created. As another example, let's say you are somebody who's lonely and you're not dating anyone, and you want to, and you go out and go to dating sites and then go out and find that perfect someone for you. Well, now that, let's say you guys hit it off, you guys are everything's going great, maybe you're getting married. Those are all great solutions. So these are all great events, but you've never lived with someone before.
Yeah.
So the next problem would be,
right? Yep.
There's another problem.
Okay.
So for every solution, there's often going to be another problem in there. And this is, I'm only I talk about this as a coach or a trainer, but if you are an employee, just be aware that things like that come out. Let's say, for an example, you won the lottery. You won $10 million, but you don't have the financial wherewithal to what to do with more than $50,000 a year. So the next problem, these things do come up.
Yep. How to manage money would be next. Well, funny, I was on the P90X program as well when I was training for Spartan races and Tough Mudders back in the day. And my problem was I just kept getting injured.
But it was P90X or the Spartan race?
Both. I think one had to do with the other two. I don't know. They both went hand in hand. So, but these things happen, and of course, age probably has a lot to do with it. But no, I like the way that you lined it up, because now I'm beginning to see what we're talking about as far as all of these problems that you solve. There's also many other things to solve behind that. Now, I want to talk about launch, which is what in the trilogy.
It's my fourth book. It's my most recent book.
Okay, your most recent. Okay. So you outline what you call the 7D method. So maybe talk a little bit more about that, and then how that method can also help address potential problem solving for entrepreneurs that they encounter in their business.
Well, yeah, in my book launch, I wrote that book was something that I was burning to get out of me for several years. Because back when I lived in Las Vegas, I used to go to California and Vegas for a lot of business events, business seminars, business workshops. I'm talking about 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 7 day, 10 day events. So I was at these huge events, and I was learning so much of this stuff that I said, I need to put all of this together into a book somewhere. I mean, this is tens of thousands of dollars that I spent on my education. So that was, I started writing that book after visiting my dad in Florida in 2020. I came back for his birthday and Thanksgiving. And then I came back in December of 2020. Like, I just need to sit down and do this. So I got like 10 different spiraling notebooks, and I just started writing the book. Now, the 7D method is basically the 7 major steps. And some of them are small steps. Some of them are huge steps.
Okay.
That as an entrepreneur that you will be going through. It goes from the first D, which is deciding to start a business, to step 5, which is doing your business. And then step number 7 is the last one. This one may never happen to some people. And some people, it may be 10, 15, 20 years later before you get to the 7th D. And the 7th D is, how do you duplicate yourself? Basically, franchising. Now, you're so big, you're so popular right now, I'm going to open up a second restaurant. I'm going to open a second, whatever. Or my coaching program is so big, how do I get Jess to become one of my certified affiliates that could teach my stuff for me? I mean, you'll see it for an example with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has a lot of his sub-coaches teaching his material. But if you're going to go with Tony, it's going to be a lot more expensive. It's going to be $100,000 or $200,000. But if you work with a sub-coach, it's only going to be like 10 or 15 or 20,000. But the sub-coach is teaching you basically the same thing that Tony would teach you. That's where the duplicate part comes in. If you've got a coaching program, certified partnerships or affiliate partnerships, or if you have a brick and mortar business, actually being able to open up a second location in city or possibly in another city or another state.
Okay. Let's talk about balancing passion and problem solving. For you, you found some passion behind creating your real estate business, which then evolved now into your optimal academy, performance academy. But like, how do entrepreneurs go from starting businesses that are based on their passions and then accelerate it even more? Like you alluded to, like the 7D program, but how can they necessitate unexpected problems that might come up when they're trying to scale their business?
Well, there are going to be problems that come up when they scale, because that's just the nature of the beast for anybody. But the thing is, if you have not started a business yet and you have a passion about something, the first thing you got to find out is it a passion that somebody else will pay for?
Okay.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you collect refrigerator magnets. You've got all these refrigerator magnets from all over, maybe opening up a museum or whatever. But the thing is, you have to figure out, is the passion that you have where you are solving a problem for somebody else? Because this is what I call an entrepreneur. I didn't come up with this. Somebody else told me this, and I liked it. It says that an entrepreneur is a person who solves problems for a profit.
Okay.
So think about that. I mean, yes, you're there to make money, but the thing is, you're there to solve somebody else's problem so that you can make a profit off of it. The thing is, if you've got a passion about something, can you work that around to be a solution to somebody else's problem? For example, last night I was speaking with a friend of mine. She's a yoga instructor and also a ski instructor up in Utah. And she's creating her own company. Like, hey, if you like me as a teacher, why don't you join my retreat or something like that could involve yoga or could involve skiing. So she's like, those are her passions. Like, that could be something that if I don't know how to ski, then she'd be a great person. If I want to take a meditation, relaxed class, she'd be a great person as well. So she does solve problems. Now she's got to do is go out there and get her name out there, and that's another problem that she has to solve. Is how do I build my brand recognition?
Okay. I love that. So let's take a moment to understand and learn more about your academy. Tell us about what you guys offer and, any events coming up, or, just tell us more about it.
Sure. Well, the academy was formed basically in May of 2022. It was a couple of months after I moved from Las Vegas to Raleigh, North Carolina. And when I was trying to figure out, what is it that I wanted to do next, I had already gotten out of real estate, what am I want to do next? And I thought about, why don't you make a business and academy around the book launch?
Okay.
So it's like, so the book became my catalyst for me to start the academies. And I was thinking, like, all these workshops that I've gone to, all these seminars that I've been on, all these online courses that I have taken, why don't I go and create my own stuff up on that? So I started recording in May, June, July of 2022, all in a whole bunch of different courses. At the time of this recording, I've got 18 online courses. We also have 3 different levels of group coaching, and we also have a one-on-one based coaching as well. So we offer training at the academy in how the way that you want to be trained. If you want to learn how to do one skill, we've either got a program for that, or we are going to create a program for that. Like if you would take any class at any other school. If you want to work like live in person with somebody, then that's what we do as well. So that's what we do.
Well, that's awesome. So the Academy was created to help solve problems, right?
Exactly. Educate
Right.
and solve problems. Or solve problems and educate. Yes.
Yes. Okay. What advice do you have then for aspiring entrepreneurs who are concerned about this notion that solving one problem can lead to others?
Well, if you're the coach, that's great. You pick multiple programs.
Right.
If you're the student, be aware that just because you have a problem isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it could be. It depends on your perspective. Because that's one thing I always talk about is perspective. How you see something, Jess, and how I see something, Kevin, see an event, even if we're standing side by side. Some people say, that's a great thing, and somebody else says, well, that was a bad thing. So don't let the potential fear of future problems be the reason that you don't take action now, because things do come up. There's probably going to be people. If you need help from somebody else, there's going to be somebody out there that can assist you, or there's going to be an online program. There's something out there that can assist you. But just because you have a problem doesn't mean that the solution from the previous problem was a bad thing. For an example, like I was saying, I lost the weight. I got this problem. I have to go buy new clothes. Okay, so I got to go get $200, $300, $500 and go buy a whole bunch of new clothes. Maybe I hire a fashion designer, and that will solve that problem.
Or you just send me with a credit card and I'll go shopping for you.
There you go.
Awesome. How can people find you and learn more about you and your company?
Well, our events are posted on our website, so I'll give you the website. It's at Optimal Performance Academy.org. Again, that's Optimal Performance Academy.org. At the menu on the top, near the far right, there's a thing that says schedule of events, so that our events are going to be there. If you also go to our training program and look at our webinars, workshops, and master classes, all of those events are posted there as well. So that's one way that you can find out about future events. We do have webinars. When we have workshops, we do have webinars for at least 4 or 5 weeks prior, and that you can attend those as well. Now, the webinar is a scripted webinar, so it is me reading basically into the microphone, because I've got the current webinar is 251 slides, but you will not know that as the viewer, because I go through them pretty quick. But it is scripted, and in the webinars we do promote the upcoming workshops. Usually it's going to be either with a bonus, like say bring a guest for free, or sometimes at a discount, or possibly even both. So I would always suggest attending the webinar.
All right.
And
awesome.
usually, here's another bonus. If you attend one of my webinars, I do give away an electronic copy of my book launch. So you can get the book for free by just attending a 1-hour webinar.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure we put all of the links in the show notes, on the website, on my website. And then, so we've got Designing Your Own Destiny, The Winner's Code, which we didn't even get into that one. I apologize. And then Launch. What's the fourth book?
Which is my first book. It's a real estate related book, which is why I don't mention it in my stuff, with the exception of my real estate track. It's called Lease Options Made Easy, by buying a home with a little, no, or bad credit.
Okay. Well, sometimes that could be someone's passion and business. And so, we want to make sure that we point them in the right direction to find that book.
Well, the lease option made easy. I mean, my specialty was lease option real estate, and that's what I did for 16 years. So that's why I wrote a book on it. Because I was, by the time I wrote the book, it was in 2015. I was already 11 years in doing that kind of a business.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, you've had some great success. So what is next for you personally? Anything? Any more weight to lose? Or are you at your goal weight?
I'm not at my goal weight. I'm actually doing P90X right now, like 2/3 of the way in. I'm down 20 pounds, which is not bad for a 56-year-old man that has some arthritis. I mean, I just do everything modified now. Instead of doing like 30 push-ups, I do 25 push-ups on my knees. I mean, it just modifies. I am looking at creating a few more online programs. and I'm doing other stuff with AI that I'm finding absolutely phenomenal. And that's another complete show in itself. So.
Oh, yes. I'm learning all things Chat GPT and some other technology that I keep getting introduced to, and it's just sucking me in. But it's definitely the future of business. I mean, just
if you're not using
incorporating
Chat GPT now, you might as well just close your business down. I mean, it is. I mean, the stuff that I've learned in the last 5 months of using Chat GPT is astounding. I mean, I use it probably 2 or 3 times a day. Here's an example, and I don't want to say bad about my friend, but my friend gave me a testimonial. She asked me for a testimonial. This morning, I went to Chat GPT and says, okay, give me a testimonial for a female yoga instructor that teaches this kind of a class. It gave me the testimonial. I went and changed like 5 or 6 words, and that became her testimonial. I mean, who would have thought about using Chat GPT for a testimonial?
I know. Well, I've done it before for book reviews.
Okay.
But I think that's our secret weapon. The more people start using it, they'll also see that technology is our friend, and that if we use it properly, we can grow faster in our businesses, and who knows what can happen next, right?
Well, if I could do that like that, or design a course or the outline of a course in less than 1 minute, and then I just go and tweak it, that just saved me 2 or 3 hours of trying to create content on my own. And usually the results are good, or you can have it regenerate.
Very, very true. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you being on the show again, and hopefully I can have you back maybe when you write your 5th book.
I'm writing community programs right now. I don't know if I got a fit for me.
But any last words of advice?
So I say follow your dreams, and don't let your fears get in the way of you achieving what you want to achieve in life, because you only have one life. Live it the way you can. Make the most out of it, and don't be on your deathbed, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, thinking I would have, should have, could have. Don't do that. Go and do. No regrets.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again, Kevin, for being on the show, and I appreciate you joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Jess.